A closer look at what is going on in France, the upheaval there. A few hours ago, a historic no-confidence vote toppled the government there. Michel Barnier is out as prime minister after just 3 months, with two political parties uniting against him. Let's talk more about the fall of the French government, or where it's going, and for that we're joined by Joav Toker. He's an associate professor at the American Graduate School of International Relations and Diplomacy in Paris. Joav, thanks very much for taking time. It's good to see you again. Now, France found something that parties agreeing on, that parties can agree on, both the far right and left-wing parties are now challenging the government. Talk about what caused this division and what led to this historic move.
Well, everything starts, at least as the chronic goes, about 4 or 5 months ago, with this very surprising, unconventional decision which President Macron had announced in early June, due to a defeat of the parties which were close to his camp over European elections. There was absolutely no obligation on the part of Macron to announce the new parliamentary elections, but he did, to the surprise of practically all political parties and all political commentators. Now, that brought about parliamentary elections, which once again, the parties which were associated with Mr. Macron, once again, were defeated, if you wish, in a moderate way. The outcome of these 2 rounds of parliamentary elections in July gave a parliament with basically 3 relatively equal blocks, which are opposing each other, and with a no combination of majority in parliament.
Right. Now
that brought about the nomination of Mr. Barnier as prime minister, hoping that, some ad hoc arrangements and combinations could be brought about and stay vivid. They were not, and about 2 months after the arrival of Mr. Barnier at the Prime Minister office, as you just described in your reporter's story, it's over. His government is out, and the country is just suspended right now to the speech, to the address of President Macron to the nation Thursday evening. And
now, Macron had managed to keep his government in power through these tactical alliances. So talk about this strategy, and it's a miscalculation at best and just a disastrous at worst. So what happens now that his prime minister is out after just a few months?
You see, the French constitution and the French political system is rather original in this sense. There is sort of disconnection, if you wish, between the political status of the president, who is elected once for a 5-year mandate, and the parliamentary activity on which relies the government. Now, the president stays in his office unless he decides to resign, which is also something that at least 2 out of 3 major blocs in French parliament are trying to push him towards. But I don't believe, and most commentators do not believe, that actually Mr. Macron will resign. So he's in office until spring of 2027, unless he himself decides to quit or something extremely dramatic happens. Now, can he just keep going like this with all kind of partial, unsatisfactory solutions? He has to drag on like this for about 6 extra months, because before June of 2025, he cannot dissolve parliament again and call for one more parliamentary round. He will be able to do it in about 6 months in June, but nobody, of course, assures that the new configuration of a new parliament elected in the spring will be more governable than the one which came out of the elections in July.
Okay, let's talk about Barnier's proposed cuts, tax hikes, because they sparked widespread opposition, especially from the far right. So where does France go now with this fiscal crisis?
From one minor solution to another minor solution, in the hope that if the government is able to add up several minor solutions, one to the other, adding up, that it would save a major crisis, because the fiscal situation is alarming. The employment situation, which got much better, is not very good right now.
Right.
The political tension and the political fragility, of course, helps nothing in the domain of business or public confidence. So a lot of the indicators are in the yellow, shall I say, if not red, and there is no reaching a profound solution which is in the horizon.
Joe, we don't have a lot of time, but Marine Le Pen and the National Rally have grown in influence, even while being ideologically at odds with other parties. So what does this mean for the direction of the nation?
Marine Le Pen's Rassemblement National National Assembly is the largest political party and the largest political factor in French politics right now.
Right.
However, there is a very rigid, rather strong, probably majority resistance facing the possibility that indeed Marine Le Pen and her party wins either the parliamentary or the presidential elections and become the major governing factor in French political life, because her party and herself personally are associated with the extreme right, with ideas which would be very uncomfortable for French people, for many French people, in regard of French history and in terms of European cohesion in the context of the EU. So on one hand, she's very powerful. On the other hand, there is a blockage sort of reflex which unites a large part of the French electorate, which may once again avoid her being elected to the most important office of the land.
Okay, Joav Toker, thank you very much. I guess we're all going to wait for the president's speech tomorrow night. Thank you so much.